I'm currently in the middle of 20 books. My challenge is to read all of these books before the end of the year. Welcome, Mouse Pack. That's a terrible name. But didn't you pick it? I did, which is why we're still gonna use it, even though it's a terrible name. So I have this little hobby called reading a book, stopping, and then never reading it again. Isn't it fun? No, it's not, because I have a lot of books that need to be read that I'm in the middle of. That's too much. And why does it look like I have a ton of books that I've started and they're just half read, and that's irritating me. So we're going to change that by just reading them all. I'm embarking on this series where I finish every single book that I've started. So by the end of the series, I'll have finished all the books that I need to finish, and then I can buy new ones. And I'm not buying any new books until I finish all the ones that I'm in the middle of, which won't be too hard considering my bank balance is considerably low. This week we are starting off quite strong and we need to get through like 1,200 pages. These are the books. The Stand. I have this much to go. Carrie to go. The Book Thief. I have this much to go. Now, while it may seem like I have a lot to get through, I don't really, because these books are quite simple and quite easy to read. It's not like every single sentence there's a word that I need to look up, or the English is really old-fashioned and so you really need to be paying attention to know what's going on. But I have these, and I think it's best if I just stop yapping and just get into it. We're starting with The Stand, the mammoth, the most intimidating looking one. Then we're moving on to Carrie because it's the shortest one and it will just tick off 2 out of 3 in my mind, so it'll be easier to read the last one. I know I've talked about this a million times, but I'm going to keep talking about it until someone agrees with me that it's weird and it's inaccurate. In this book, Carrie is pelted with period products, with pads, tampons, etc., etc. A tampon gets tangled up in her pubic hair. Tell me that is impossible to happen. That is literally impossible to happen. I don't see how that could have occurred. It's impossible, okay? It's literally impossible. The Book Thief, and I'll finish on this one. We're starting with The Stand. I read a lot of it last night. Cue those clips. This guy is the epitome of health and beauty. This girl is carrying her dead dad down the stairs. This dude was abandoned in a prison and is now resorting to cannibalism. And yes, I did only take video evidence of the pictures. Let me read you the back. First come the days of the plague, which is where everyone gets violently sick and dies. If they catch whatever virus is in the air, there is a 100% fatality rate. Then come the dreams. Dreams that warn of the coming of the apostate of death, his worn down boot heels tramping the night roads, the warlord of the Charnel House and the Prince of Evil. The Charnel House, I know what that is. You wanna know how I know? Because in Frankenstein, that's where Victor Frankenstein gets his bones. A Charnel House is basically just a place where they store human bones and stuff like that. So yeah, like death. His name is at hand. Oh, hi at hand. His empire grows in the west and the apocalypse looms. The apocalypse scares me, but also like I find it so fascinating. Anyways, this book, there is a billion characters, and if you have a bad memory, I don't recommend that you read this. Or if you have a bad memory and you still want to read this, you're gonna need to take notes because there is 1,000 million storylines and every single character has a complex backstory, has a complex plot line. The thing is, you get really invested in a character and then the next chapter comes along and you're just filled with this sense of dread because you know you're not gonna get to see that character for another 10 more chapters because there are so many people in this. There is too many people, and you need a good memory to be able to remember, oh, that's that guy, that's that guy. Oh, he's a part of this and he's doing that and he's I think it's just best if we just start reading it. We have a long way to go. I'm talking like 800 pages.
Only look at the clock, not the wig.
One thing about me is that I'm a night reader before anything else.
I read a few pages before then. It was time for me to embark on a little night journey. So I went to the car wash. I actually love it. Despite the fact that when I was a kid I was so scared of them, I had to have exposure therapy sessions. Then I listened to some rain sounds.
I wish he didn't write women.
This is my genuine reaction to reading some of the stuff this man writes.
She's about to be killed by a pack of weasels. Weasels, so cute.
This was my setup for most of the night. Here is me showing you another mention of weasels.
Some dude just about to get his appendix unprofessionally cut out because it's about to burst and there are no doctors. What am I reading? The gun and the...
This is a little pack of wolves. I love when books have pictures. This is me showing you an update.
This is reminding me of that Society show. I'm so tired.
I got to the point where I just had to close the book. I put in the bookmark, here's how much is left, and that is it. I'm going to sleep now. I'll talk to you in the morning. Listen very carefully to this. Hear that hitting around? This is why I think someone is living in the roof of my house. Even though the rational part of me is like, that is impossible, that's not happening. Well, it's not actually impossible. Regardless, here is... I just hear that again. In like every Stephen King book, there's always a religious nut. You know exactly the kind of person I'm talking about, but in all of his books, there's at least one person who's like that. Case in point, Kojak is my favorite character. The last time I read this book, I was around 15 or 16 years old. I think I was 16. And they've just mentioned something that happened at the start of the book, which is when I first read it at 15 or 16. And it's just very strange to think about where I am now and where I was back then, and all the things that have changed. Life is so weird. The concept of time, that's also so weird. And now they're messing around with the Ouija board. You'll never catch me using a Ouija board. Imagine being called the horse-faced girl. That's so mean. See, this is what annoys me. We get to a good part here, but then it just immediately switches to a different chapter, and we're not going to go back to this storyline until like 100 more chapters. This is the only correct time to use the word hiss. Okay, I'm stopping here. I have been reading for hours. I only have this much left. Do you see that? And I've read this into all this. We're on the home stretch. Let me put you on to one of my most favorite foods. You may look at this and be like, this is just bread and cheese. And yeah, you're right, but it's so good. So I'm gonna sit outside, because I'm doing this little routine lately where I sit outside every single time I eat, so I can get some fresh air, you know what I'm saying? I know this looks so unappetizing, but it is delicious. Also, look at these clouds. There is something about me that loves either storms or clear skies, no in between. I'm also not scared of the birds that are around my house, because they are basically my only friends now. I have my chocolate milk. And even though it's not forecasted, it's 100% gonna storm. I can just tell. Raw well, that's a vegetable. But people are like, no, tomatoes are actually fruits, whatever. Whatever this is, raw produce is one of my most favorite snacks to eat. I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to read at the same time. And if you listen, you'll hear another clink in my roof. I'm going to be so relieved when I just get this book finished. I promise I have not been sitting here all day. I just came back here so I could be with my friend, my best friend, and I have not read anything else. But I'm going to now, because that is my challenge. Now, this could be ambitious, but I want to read the rest of it today. I want to get it done today. Reading this book was like going on a hike. You just have to push through so you can get home. Also, don't mind this dude. He was literally set on fire. So, the society has so many similarities to this. Famous last words. Closing this book was easily the highlight of my day. The mammoth has finally been slain. I cannot believe that this book is finally over. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't know if I was ever gonna be able to finish it, but I have, and I'm very grateful that I finished it. I'm gonna give it a 2 stars because there were just too many things that have knocked it down. Things that I can't ignore. Anyways, that's that, I guess. Time to read Carrie. I tried to read Carrie, but I just couldn't because the football was on, and the game that was on was very, very important, and it was a very pivotal game, so I had to watch it. I feel like this suits the Carrie vibe. Well, the Carrie vibe was not good enough because I didn't read last night either. I went outside this morning, and I was planning on just sitting outside by myself all alone, but no, because my friend, my one true friend, came to sit with me and to hang out with me while I tried to read the book. You guys don't understand how happy this made me. I have not read as much as I want to. That's okay. We'll get it done. I did not get it done in this sitting. I didn't even get anywhere close to it. I didn't even read a single page, and that is just because I couldn't bring myself to it. I don't know what it is about Carrie. It's quite a short book, but I just don't want to read it. I've only ever read it on 2 other occasions. The first time was several years ago. I was in the car on the way to Nepal when I encountered the terrible bathroom scene, closed it and never picked it up until a few weeks ago when I read a few bits just to get it over with. But obviously I did not get it over with because that is why I have to make this video. Now you're probably wondering what is going on here. My cat and I were racing to get back inside. She ended up beating me. Look at the speed on her. She's so fast. And then I let her inside. You know, she has some of the best manners. You may come in. She waits. Listen. Anyways, I was procrastinating this book so hard that I sat down and I did my uni work that I needed to catch up on. Yes, that is right. I chose doing uni over reading a book, which doesn't happen that often. And then I actually decided to go on a walk. So I went on a walk. That's how bad the procrastination was. I'm being healthy. I'm going on walks again.
I hope you can hear me because sometimes my audio messes up, but I'm conquering my fears. I'm not getting off this couch until I read at least a chapter of this book.
That's sad. That's that guy's debut and he's gonna feel injured. I feel bad for him.
That is very sad.
Armed with my ice cream and my water, I sat down and was ready to bite the bullet, finally.
I'm at the pivotal point in the story. When they drop the blood, I'm at that point. This is sick. This is actually so sick.
Mere words cannot express the feeling of relief I felt when I finally, after all this time, actually read the story. Oh, here's me eating a little snack.
I have finally finished Carrie. It's taken me like 10 years to do, but I would rate it 3 out of 5 stars, I think.
If I keep up with these book challenges, I have a feeling that we will be able to get to the end of my reading goal. Starting to read this book was so much easier than before. Now, if you're wondering what's happening here, I was sitting outside and my cat came out to investigate because she was interested to see what I was doing. And then she decided that she was going to come down and read with me, which I think is just honestly the nicest thing that anyone has ever done for me. So here she is now. Look at her, sniffing my book, scenting it, marking it.
Where's my drink?
And then she tried to sniff and mark my drink, so then I had to take it away from her, just in case. Literally, this cat right here is my best friend, and I don't know what I would do without her. She's the only reason why I'm not alone all day.
You've got a friend in me.
I think if we had to have a song, it would be that one, the You've Got a Friend. Okay, I'm not going to sing, but that song right there is our song. Okay, now let's talk about The Book Thief for a second. This book was very sad. Not going to lie, like I read a certain line and I was just like, are you kidding? This was the last line, and this was my attempt to show you that I had rated it 4 stars. This is definitely one of those books that I'm going to think about. Also, I literally talk to my cat and she talks back to me and no one believes us, but listen to this, okay?
Do you want to go inside? Okay, look.
Then she tells me to hurry up. And then we decided to race back inside again, and she won, of course. She always beats me because, like I said, she is so fast, like Fast and the Furious.
I have finished The Book Thief. This book was so good. 4 stars.
4 stars is really high for me, considering out of my entire life I have given one book 5 stars, and it's not even a book, it's a fan fiction. It's a fan fiction. Also, The Book Thief is one of those books that I just wanted to read in my lifetime, so I can say I've done it.
I can take out this bookmark. Thank you so much for joining me with this challenge. I will see you again more very soon. This challenge was really good. This challenge was really fun. I felt like we got through a lot of books that I probably would not have gotten through unless I had specifically made this challenge, and I'm really happy with our progress. My editing has been disrupted by a tail.
It's now time to add my miniature books to my miniature library.
As the years go by, a friendship will never die.